Welcome to Medicine, Motherhood, and Missions, the podcast where we dive deep into impactful and inspiring conversations with amazing professionals who've turned their challenges into stepping stones for success. I'm Johanna, your host, and each time we meet, we'll explore the stories and journeys of remarkable individuals who are PAs, doctors, professionals, mothers, and mission-driven changemakers, from the halls of the hospitals to the hearts of our homes, and into the communities we serve. Join us as we uncover the challenges, triumphs, and everything in between, and see life through each other's perspective. If you're seeking fulfillment in your career and life, I've got something special for you too. Download our free guide on how to be a fulfilled provider. It's packed with tips and insights to help you thrive while balancing the many hats you wear. And for all those parents out there dreaming big while raising little ones, check out Little Evie's Big Dreams children's book series, available now on Amazon. These heartwarming stories inspire kids to chase their own dreams, just like you're chasing yours. So grab your favorite cup of coffee or tea, settle in, and get ready for uplifting conversations that will leave you inspired and equipped to make a greater impact. Let's jump in. Hi, friends. Today we have a special guest, Dr. Amber Christopher. She is a doctor of physical therapy. She, after navigating her own tumultuous journey through perimenopause into postmenopause, Amber has dedicated her life to helping women crush this pivotal time in their lives using science-backed, solution-focused coaching and education. Amber's mission is to educate, equip, and empower women to embrace midlife as a season of strength, confidence, and resilience. Through virtual and in-person platforms, she integrates movement, nutrition, and lifestyle, offering transformative programs, courses, and resources for thriving through peri and menopause. Trained as a doctor of physical therapy, Dr. Amber Christopher DPT also holds certifications in menopause coaching, personal training, and nutrition coaching. She is the founder of Build a Better Body and has been helping women to do this since 1999. So it is a great pleasure to talk with you, Amber, and have you on the podcast. Thank you so much for coming and taking time. I appreciate that. And listeners, it's amazing stuff that she'll be talking about. She also has some really neat upcoming events, which, based on the timing of the podcast, we may have missed, but there are more in the future, more to come. Keep in mind. All right. So Amber, tell us.
Thank you so much, Johanna, for having me on today. And hello to all of your listeners. I'm guessing that you are mostly women and women that are mostly mothers, right? Because motherhood's in the title. But yeah, I just wanted to say hi to your audience, and I'm so happy to be here today. I hope that I can maybe help educate, equip, and inspire you, encourage you, and empower you to go through midlife. So anyway, thank you, Johanna.
Yeah, of course. And I love that you are empowering, equipping, encouraging. It's like the same words and impact messaging that I use for all of my nonprofit, even the Medicine, Motherhood, Mission podcast. So it's like really neat. It's kind
Very
of
cool.
having these two worlds collide. And but tell us a little bit about yourself. Start off with something fun. Tell us about what you do for fun.
Sure. So I am, I guess, what you would call an adrenaline junkie. So I've always been into sports and those things that just really excite you, get that heart rate going, make you feel strong and powerful and athletic and cool, whatever. So I played sports in high school. And in my adult life, I got into the CrossFit world and then into obstacle course racing. So the Spartans, the Tough Mudders, things like that. So I was very much into those type events. And so I really enjoy doing active things. I love dogs, even though I'm currently dogless. I was at an event on Saturday. There happened to be like an adopt a dog program. And there was one that was so sweet that had this like kind of weird paw, but she was still great and
Oh,
active. And I was so close to getting her, but I was like, it's just not the right time right now. But
yeah.
I don't know. What else fun? I hated pink growing up. Like I was a tomboy and I hated pink and I thought it was stupid. And now it's like my favorite color. So there you go.
It's so funny how things change. And
Right?
and never say never. That's what I've learned. Never say never. But that's really neat that you do all of these like CrossFit and huge like those events for strength training or all of those. Do you do marathons as well, or is it just mainly those activity kind of events?
I have done 4 marathons, and there will never be a fifth.
Oh, nice.
I know, never say never, but
right.
I am at those long endurance. It's not for me. I recently, it's been a year and a half now, maybe a little bit longer. I did the Grand Canyon hike, rim to rim to rim. So we went down, across, and up, stayed overnight, and then down, across, and back to back. And yes, it was a great accomplishment, but it was hard. It was the hardest thing I'll probably ever do in my life. And it kind of wrecked my body. So I learned that I am not, yes, those long endurance events, that's not me.
Yeah. Are we like training for those properly? Like how, because I feel like a lot of people sometimes go for those, like those intense, like really exciting, like, Grand Canyon rim to rim run, but they never have really trained for a marathon before or something. And they just like randomly sign up for these like really exciting things. But is it like people like ruining their bodies because they never train properly? Or do you think, like, because you're a physical therapist,
Correct.
So
yeah, I mean, there's a couple answers to that question. Firstly, yes, there are plenty of people that do not train accordingly. I have not trained properly for several races and actually a couple marathons. I had run my first 2 marathons, and the second one was because I was like, oh, I think I can go faster. But then I get to the end, I was faster. But then at the end, I was like, that was horrible. My mental checks out right away. I'm like, never again. But then I had applied to go to the New York lottery. And I got selected. It was like, well, I have to go, but I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't trained, and it was horrible. And then even in the Grand Canyon, we are hiking. We did a 20-week, very intensive training program. So we were as prepared, I think, as we could have been, unless, we live in a canyon and can actually do a little bit of canyon hiking in our training. But there were plenty of people along the way that, were carrying like 1 water bottle. And it's like, we had, 25-pound packs that had, big, huge bladders full and 2 water bottles, and we refilled. So people just don't know. You're correct. They don't know what it takes. And so we're like, we saw them all. We're like, oh, yep, they're going to be turning around, in 10, 15, 20 minutes when they're out of water and, the sun's beating down. So it's that there are people that aren't prepared, but then especially as women, as we age, well, so first of all, women, right? We carry a lot more stress than men. Okay. A lot of you guys are moms, and you probably also have careers, and you're also the housekeeper and the cook and the, you drive carpool, like all the things, right? Like there's just so much more, at least traditionally, stress on a woman. And so that compounds over the years. And as we reach midlife and our hormones, they don't just like the testosterone of men, it will slowly decline. Ours does this like roller coaster for 4 to 10 years, and then it just tanks to nothing. So when that happens, our bodies change. And so we can't handle that stress anymore, or it compounds, and our cortisol is too high. we have to change the way that we exercise, change the way that we eat. I can't do
Mm-hmm.
CrossFit anymore. I can't do those high intensity workouts anymore
Mm-hmm.
because it spikes my cortisol. I can't recover like I used to.
Yeah.
So there is, to answer your question, yes, there are people that are unprepared, but then there are people that they just don't know that
Mm-hmm.
because their bodies have changed, they
Yeah.
have to do things differently. So my story is one that of that where I, was able to do CrossFit and I was able to work out at a very uncomfortable high heart rate and to be able to
Yeah.
do the things because I was competitive and I was pushing myself and I
Mm-hmm.
was doing all the things. And I had no idea what it was doing to my body because I found CrossFit
Uh-huh.
in my mid to late 30s, which is,
Mm-hmm.
I found out several years ago I was in perimenopause. I didn't know the word perimenopause, but I was in it. So
Yeah.
I was, day in, day out, 5 to 6 days a week doing CrossFit at a high intensity
Right.
and just basically wrecking my body. So, and
Mm-hmm.
this is not a hit on CrossFit. You can still
Mm-hmm.
uh, do CrossFit. You can still do high intensity workouts. You
Yeah.
just need to do them at a lower volume
Yeah.
than did. So like I was able to do these workouts and keep up
Mm-hmm.
because I was competitive and go, go, go. And I wanted to
Yeah.
win and I won the fastest time and I wanted to get stronger. I wanted to lift the weights.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's kind of the mentality that I was in. And then come
Yeah.
to the Grand
Mm-hmm.
Canyon and I'm in full on menopause at this time because I hadn't had my periods. And a very, very intense training program. I mean, we're talking 25-pound pack with
Mm-hmm.
everything we did,
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5, 6 hour hikes on the weekends,
Yeah.
2 hours on the Stairmaster. I mean, just,
Yeah.
all the
Mm-hmm.
things. And so it
Yeah.
just destroyed my body. And I started having, anxiety that I never had before after the actual canyon and things
Yeah.
that just so I had my hormones checked, all the things. So anyway, yes,
Yeah.
you can undertrain, but then you can also overtrain. So,
Yeah.
and then,
Yeah.
yeah, but that's part of what I'm just so excited about my role in my business because there's so many women that just don't know what's going to happen to their bodies, in the future, in your 20s and 30s, like you don't know what's coming. You're having your babies and you're living your life, living the dream and having the fun and doing all the things. And you don't know that you're, roller coaster of hormones and
Mm-hmm.
then eventually that flat line, what it's doing to your bodies. And so I really, the perimenopause folks, that is really who I am wanting to help and to educate
Mm-hmm.
and bring that knowledge to them. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Well, because speaking of that, the changes that we as women have or undergo throughout the years. And I was speaking with another lady who helps and coaches women and incorporates cycle syncing. And that also, takes into consideration exercise regimens based on the phase in the cycle that you're in, and training 5 days a week. CrossFit, may be good when you're in a certain phase of the
exactly.
cycle, but when you're in different phases where you need a little bit more like slower intensity or
Yeah,
more
back off a little bit.
relaxation, and so we just have to kind of understand our bodies more in, I guess, kind of like taking those considerations and not just like full force adrenaline, but yeah. And then the interesting thing is that like the thought that came to my mind is like some of us are like having babies later on in our years, so our
Yes.
20s, we're all like go, 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 and we have the energy. And then we have babies later in our 30s or sometimes 40s, and we're like, you know, at that perimenopause and exhaustion. And then we're already exhausted with little toddlers too. It's like
Yes.
so many things. But yeah, so it's really interesting that you have started this business targeting perimenopausal women, or and empowering women as a whole. And the build a better body program. But how did you get into physical therapy and start this business, first of all?
Sure. So in junior high and high school, I was playing sports. So I was around a lot of sports injuries. And, other than the sprained ankle, I didn't have anything major or serious, but I was still around those. And I was just very fascinated by the human body, how it repairs itself, and then also just the rehab. So watching some teammates go through some rehab for some, more significant injuries. My dad went through a rotator cuff surgery for his shoulder. And I would, just observe. I would go to some of his physical therapy sessions. So just really always fascinated. So I knew very early that that's what I would do. So I was very focused undergraduate to do the pre-physical therapy program. At the time, it was master's programs. And so I got that. And then I worked for, so I've been a physical therapist now for 26 years, which is crazy, like almost to the day, like this month was like our last class. But yeah, so 26 years, and probably about 20 of those I worked in traditional medical model physical therapy. So I worked in hospitals, I worked in outpatient, I worked in home health, the traditional settings, pretty much helping people who were impaired come back to more of a functional level. Also worked with pediatrics, with kids with cerebral palsy. So, if they couldn't sit, get them to sit. If they couldn't crawl, get them to crawl. If they couldn't walk, get them to walk. If they could walk, but, on their toes, help them walk better. Those kind of things. So taking somebody from impairment to improved function. And it was great. I loved most of my time there, but through a series of very providential circumstances, the Lord just brought me to a place where I was kind of done with pediatrics and with the home health and the just driving around everywhere. And at the same time, I had been watching a friend of mine had started a coaching business to coach physical therapists, occupational therapists, how to start their business. I was working for 3 different home care agencies. I didn't have benefits with any of them. So it's like I could take vacation. I didn't have health insurance. And so I'm paying, and so I'm like, I don't want to keep working for all these people and when I can do my thing. And also at the same time, I was finishing my doctorate. So I did a bridge program through Texas Tech, guns up, to get to basically commiserate my master's degree to a doctorate degree. So now, yes, Dr. Amber. But through that, one of our courses was health and wellness promotions. And it was one of those, my heart started beating faster. So rather than taking someone from impairment to function, this is more trying to prevent the impairment. So the wellness side of things. And I was like, yes, this is what we need. Obviously, we have, the obesity crisis in this country. We have all these chronic diseases that they're starting much earlier. So I'm like, I want to help people prevent these. I want them to be healthy and strong and well. And that went very much along with, I was certified as a CrossFit coach, level 2 CrossFit coach. And I was like, this is what everyone needs. And that's one really, really good thing about CrossFit is they are really good about taking folks into their community who can't, do a back squat yet, or they can't, do muscle ups or kettlebell swings or whatever, but they've got, 200 pounds to lose, right? Like how many people sit at home and they're like, oh, well, I'll go to the gym once I get in a little bit better shape, or I'll go try this. So CrossFit is very good about that. But so just being around in that environment, I was like, this is what I want to do. I said, yes, I want to do physical therapy, whatever. This is a very long story. Sorry if I'm going into too much detail, but this is happening. I began my last semester of my doctorate in January and I was going through this coaching program to start my own business in January of 2020. I launched my business in the very beginning of March 2020. So, right. Right. We all know 2020, what happened in March of 2020. So I literally had meetings set up with concierge physicians to market, to let them know what I was doing, because nobody was doing that here. Nobody was a physical therapist that had their own practice that was, giving the patients and the clients what they need rather than what insurance dictated that they need. So a lot of times physical therapy gets you to the point where you're functional. So I can get in and out of the car, I can get up and down from a chair, but can I go and, hiking, not the Grand Canyon, but just, hiking, for pleasure? Can I do, can I play with my kids? That kind of thing. Like insurance doesn't let you get to that point. So helping people improve their quality of life, not just their function. So nobody was doing it. Anyway, those meetings obviously got canceled because the world shut down. So I pivoted right away and started doing online coaching and exercise programming. So because everybody was at home, gyms were closed, so we did all that. So that when everything opened back up, I did kind of a hybrid practice in person and online. So that's how my practice started and so it's been since 2020. And it's pivoted several times since then. But right during this time too, I was at the very end of perimenopause, even though I still didn't know the word. I was irritable, like just the slightest thing set me off. I thought it was just because I was working for the agency. I was getting my doctorate. I was starting a business, like all the things. I had already been having hot flashes for years. I was depressed. I was experiencing some chronic pain that nobody could figure out. I had had 2 hernia surgeries, a hip surgery, and it was still there, the pain and all the things, right? So all this is going on. And I finally figured out it was pelvic floor. And so I got that treated and finally had relief from the pain. And all this is going on as my hormones are basically about to die, right? So I'm talking to my GP, my general practitioner. I'm talking to my OB-GYN about my symptoms, right? The hot flashes, the depression, pain, the whatever. And, they ask the traditional questions. Well, when was your last period? Okay, well, they're really irregular. I had one, 12 weeks ago. I had another one, 28 days ago. The next one was like 3 months later, so they're irregular. So I'm clearly in perimenopause. Nobody ever said anything about that. It was a suck it up, deal with it sucks. Yeah, stick your head in a freezer. And when you haven't had your period for 12 months, come back and we can, help you with some symptoms. And, oh, by the way, here's a prescription for an antidepressant. And here's a prescription to help your insomnia. And, come back and if you haven't had your period for 12 months. Okay. So, come to find out, and this is actually interesting. So during this time as well, I am gaining weight and the fat is just in the belly, in my midsection, in the abdomen. And I'm like, I don't know what this is, where it came from, how to get rid of it. Like, what is this? And so I'm starting to look into this. I'm starting to follow, and I hear the word perimenopause. I'm like, what is this? What is perimenopause? And so I start following all these specialists, all these experts that are OB-GYNs that are talking about this. And they're talking about the way that estrogen and progesterone and testosterone, how it affects our life and how it does the roller coaster before it tanks, right? Like I thought menopause was something that happens in your 50s and you have some hot flashes and then, and then you're done and you're fine. But menopause is that moment of your last period. And then 12 months later, you can say, I'm in postmenopause, and you're going to be in postmenopause for the rest of your life. So I was 47 when I had my last period. So 48, I'm officially in menopause. My grandfather lived until almost 100. My grandmother's about to turn 98, right? So if I'm 48 in menopause, I could be spending like the back half of my life in menopause. And what we found out, and this has been because there's been such a lack of research, on women and the things that happen to women. And women are not just little men. We're very different. We have very different anatomy, very different hormones, right? Because women, one of our roles is to procreate and to bear children and to do that. And so there are things that have to happen in our bodies to make that happen that don't happen in men. And as I said, testosterone slowly declines over time, and ours just this and tanks. So the generation before mine, I'm Gen X, so the baby boomers, my mother's generation, they are of the generation that they don't question the doctor. They listen to the doctor because that doctor is the expert. They know everything. They know what's best. They know that, oh yeah, like you can't, like you got to wait 12 months before your period and we can't help you, like whatever. So they trust that doctor that they know what they're doing and they don't ask questions. They don't do, the deep dive, the research to figure out what maybe else could be going on or how to help. And they're also the generation that didn't talk about these things. I hosted a viewing of a documentary about perimenopause or about menopause, and my mom came to it, and we sat around afterward talking about our own experiences with perimenopause and menopause. And my mom was like, yeah, like I had some hot flashes, and like I just thought, that's what you go through. Like you just suck it up and go through it and whatever. And we didn't talk about it. No, we didn't talk about it with my friends at all. It was like a shameful thing. Like this very not like 100% of women are going to go through menopause. If you're born with ovaries, you're going to go through menopause. So if you live long enough, you will go through menopause. So it's 100% of women. And like, why aren't we talking about it? So like the silent generation that came before us, they just didn't talk about it. And so they didn't know how to advocate for themselves or empower themselves to do that. And my generation, Gen Xers, like we're a little bit louder. We're a little bit, we're in the information age. We know we have access to the information. We're going to fight for ours, and we're not okay with like suffering of any kind, right? Like, it sucks. Like if you're having hot flashes, you don't want to just be like, oh, like, and now perimenopause can last, up to 10 years. And then even after menopause, you can still have hot flashes. And it's like, okay, like I'm just supposed to suffer like this for 10 plus years. I'm not okay with that. So our generation is starting to stand up for it. You're starting to see OB-GYNs that are starting to specialize in the care of the menopausal woman. The amount of education that OB-GYN residents get on the care of the postmenopausal woman, the care of the woman after her childbearing years, they get 8 hours of education in 4 years of their residency. So they don't know. They don't know. They're not up on the latest research. They don't know what's happening. And the other side of that coin about why it's being talked about more now and why it's even more important now to start educating women is that there was a study done back in 2002 by the Women's Health Initiative. And basically their conclusions of the study were that hormone replacement therapy caused breast cancer. Hormone replacement therapy caused blood clots. Hormone replacement therapy caused heart disease, right? So the study was grossly misreported, and they also had a lot of problems with that study. One being that most of the women that were in the study were well past their menopause moment. So they were in their 60s, 70s, right? So they had, had 10, 20 years of no hormones, and then they give them hormones. So there's that. And then also like a large majority, I'm going to get the percentage wrong. So a large majority of the subjects also had comorbidities. They were obese or overweight. They already had underlying conditions like heart disease, high cholesterol, the
sedentary
diabetes, all that. So,
lives.
and the reporting, even the report of the control group that did not get the hormones and their results with breast cancer, it was, let's say, one in 100 for this group, and then one in, 87 for this group. So it wasn't that big of a deal. And so they're basically made a correlation that it was causing that. So they were making a correlation that wasn't necessarily a causation of that breast cancer. And so come to find out with recent research and what's been going on is that, and the Women's Health Initiative have actually come back and recanted that and have reversed that and have gone completely 180 from that to where they're saying not only do hormone replacements not cause breast cancer, it actually helps prevent breast cancer. It actually helps prevent heart disease. We have estrogen receptors all over our bodies and our brains and our joints and our muscles and our heart and our, not just in our uterus, right? Like we've got those in our GI system. Every single organ system is affected because there are estrogen receptors there. So hormones aren't just a sexual issue. They in our brain. That's why we have brain fog. You walk into a room, you can't remember why you walked in there. It's not just old age. It's not early Alzheimer's or early dementia. It's literally because the receptors and it's mostly in the prefrontal cortex here, they're not getting the hormones that they've been used to getting. So they are not functioning. They're not firing on all cylinders like they used to. So you're going to have more problems with your brain. The fat redistribution, right? There are estrogen receptors in your fat cells, and when they're not getting that estrogen, they're going to fill up with fat, and that weight is going to redistribute around your organs in your belly. Okay, it's not the the fat like on your bingo wings. It's the fat, the visceral fat that's around those organs in your belly. And it's actually the fat that's very, very dangerous and can lead to chronic diseases. So anyway, there are a lot of effects that hormones have on our bodies, and when you don't get them, you get the 70 plus symptoms. From frozen shoulder to TMJ to itchy ears to joint pain to hot flashes to insomnia to risk of heart disease. My cholesterol was, I want to say it was like 220, 230 after being like incredibly good cholesterol for almost 50 years. Yeah. So it's a very protective hormone and a very anti-inflammatory hormone. So anyway, research is out. We're trying to help correct misinformation and then provide correct information. So it's a tall task because you still have OB-GYNs that don't know this.
Yeah.
So we're reversing a generation's worth of history of women not being on hormones and trying to reverse that and shift the thinking, shift that narrative, and shift women's health, because we are outliving men, but our quality of life is much poorer. Alzheimer is significantly more prevalent in women.
Yeah.
Possibly due because of that estrogen. Women are dying of heart disease. The diabetes is affecting our quality of life as we age. So all of those things are very important. And this is not a plug for hormone replacement therapy. I'm not affiliated with anybody that's going to sell you hormones, try to sell you on hormones, but just to educate you that your hormones are very, very, very important. And if you're not interested in hormone replacement, there are other lifestyle modifications that you can do. But that it's a long history that we have to overcome and re-educate women about.
Yeah. And there are a lot of multifactorial reasons and issues that surrounds a lot of those chronic diseases and things. But I like that, we are kind of looking into these change in mindset into women's health and understanding hormone replacement therapy, estrogen, all of those things, and also kind of taking away that negative connotation with the natural things that women face, whether it even starts from the childhood or, teenage years with the first menstruation to perimenopause and menopause. I think a lot of these things hopefully will help empower women a little bit more, because I know even with the childhood and teenagers, just having that empowerment and understanding those changes are really important for a girl too. And it's been so taboo and such a negative thing, but it just is like, why is it so negative to be a woman?
Right.
That's just a natural part of being a woman, right?
Yes.
And a sign of birth and a sign of life. It's literally, right, what it
Yep.
signifies, life giving nature of being a woman, right? And yet it's been so taboo and negatively viewed. And so I like that we are kind of taking a mindset shift in these things to help better improve, because I do take care of a lot of geriatric patients and elderly females, and I think had we done things preventively a little bit earlier, before they're in these chronic disease states, maybe it would have helped, and hopefully for our generation it'll be a little bit better for us as we age,
Yes.
having this
I haven't even.
understanding and education. Yeah. And so, yeah. And so, speaking of mindset shifts, we're
Yeah.
talking about the shift that you're involved in. Can you describe a little bit about what the shift is and who are these key stakeholders creating this movement?
Yes. Thank you for asking. So the shift is a movement that we are beginning in the Dallas area, but also North Texas. And it is a groundbreaking movement here for women. It is starting to happen in other cities, and we are going to start it here. And it's essentially shifting the narrative that women are only useful in their childbearing years. Like,
Yeah.
we're important. Most women in midlife and perimenopause, menopause, they are at the heights of their careers. They are in very, very high
Mm-hmm.
positions in their company. They are very valuable. They bring a lot of value to their
Experience.
companies, and
Mm-hmm.
they are suffering. There are, and you're going to ask me statistics, and I can't remember all, but a very large, significant portion of women are leaving the workforce because they can, the deep depression and the anxiety and the hot flashes and the way that the brain fog, that they
Mm-hmm.
can't function. And we just can't have that. Women are too valuable to life and their families and their businesses. So we are starting a movement. Our inaugural event is on March 29th in Dallas, and it's more than just an event. It's the movement, so it won't just be the one time, but it is the first of its kind in Dallas, where we are bringing in experts, world-renowned experts. Our keynote speaker, Dr. Lise Newson, is basically the mother of menopause. Like, she is the one who, she's flying here all the way from the United Kingdom to come here and speak. She's making her US debut here, which is amazing that we get to host her. But she's going to come talk, and you can listen to anybody in English talk English accent talk all day, right? But
Yeah.
she's very engaging, very knowledgeable about menopause and those times in her life.
Mhm.
So she's coming, and we have experts. We're going to talk everything about heart health, bone and muscle health. We're going to talk about sex and how the estrogen, loss of estrogen, testosterone, progesterone affect women's sex lives. And that leaks into, marriage relationships. So, when you combine that, the lack of intimacy, the lack of libido, the pain with sex, all the things. And then you've got the irritability and the depression and the hot flashes. Like it's just not, it's not fun for women in their marriages in that respect. So talking about sex, we're talking about hormones and the hormone replacement therapy. So bringing in experts from Chicago and Boston and UK, women, and then women are coming to attend from Louisiana and Oklahoma and Houston and Austin. They're coming in town. So this is going to be a conference that is going to not just educate, but we're going to give tools and resources for you to take these women to take this information back to their communities and back to their friends so that we can help affect policy change to get more research done on women,
Mhm.
not just men, for our hormones, for research.
Mhm.
So, and then also to just be able to advocate for yourself to get better clinical care, how to talk to
Mhm.
your doctor to make sure they aren't in the old school mindset that your hormones are going to cause breast cancer or that you can only have hormones after your menopause event. I mean, who knows if I had started hormones and somebody had identified what put all my symptoms together and said, hey, I think you're in perimenopause. Let's try some hormones. Maybe I wouldn't have needed, sleep meds or antidepressant meds or anti-anxiety meds, all the things. So taking that education, educate you, equip you. But we're also going to have some fun. We have a very, very funny comedian, Angela Owen. She did a set in Plano, which is a suburb of Dallas, a
Mhm.
couple weeks ago that I got to go to. She just turned 60. So it's that baby boomer Gen X. She's on the cusp of each generation and then comparing that to, generations that come after us. And she's got a lot
Mhm.
of like the women and midlife humor. So she's hilarious.
Mhm.
We're going to have a lot of fun. And it is also a fundraiser for a docu-series on perimenopause. So there has not been one done on perimenopause. The film that came out last October
Mhm.
was on menopause, and that's great. Like definitely, like I'm postmenopause, um, and I still I'm on hormones, and I'm still trying to work out some things. Right, so I'm 2 years, I guess, post my official menopause date. Um, so that's great. But this is going to focus on women that aren't there yet, right? Because we don't have to wait to do things
Mhm.
before we haven't had our period for 12 months. So, and it's actually, oh my gosh. So the stakeholders are in this are myself, I'm the co-chair, co-founder of the Shift, and then the chair and co-founder of the Shift is Stephanie Collins, and she is just an incredible boss babe. She's an RN, registered nurse. She's been out of clinical care for a while now, but she is a huge, huge, huge advocate for women, and specifically in the past couple years, women in midlife. And she's also just a baller lady. Like she's literally, she and her two partners, the three women, they are very close to getting a testosterone patch on the market, and then eventually a patch that includes testosterone and estrogen. Because right now you can just get testosterone either inject
Mhm.
or the cream. So that would be huge. You're already putting your estrogen patch on, and you can change it with your testosterone, like all the same. So like groundbreaking, like smart, ladies that are really going to change the game for women's health. And then we have also teamed up with Sadali Shri and Anna Booty. They are female monks that live about an hour north of Dallas, and they themselves are in perimenopause. So they've got the irregular fluctuating symptoms, and they are periods, cycles, and they have started experiencing perimenopausal symptoms. And so their docuseries, they have traveled all over to interview world-renowned experts for their docuseries. The first 2 episodes I was able to pre-screen. They're incredible. And so this is a fundraiser to help them complete their project, complete episode 3 and 4, and then to market it, to get it out. They are award-winning monks. They were nominated for an Oscar award for previous documentaries. They are incredible people. But as monks, their entire being is to end suffering in the world, and their lifestyle reflects that. So, they're meditating, they're exercising, they're eating what they should eat, and they're living in peace, and yet they're still suffering. And so that's what kind of drove them to figure out, what is this? Why we're doing everything right? Why are we suffering? And it's hormones. So this event is to also help fundraise. So there'll be a silent auction, and just opportunities to just donate to them finishing the film. So just incredible women that are behind this. We are still looking for some underwriters, corporate sponsors, if anybody wants to get in on this, because this is going to be an annual event with follow-up. So follow-up, not podcasts, but maybe webinars type things to help in giving resources and accountability for different things. So that's what the shift is, March 29th in Dallas at the beautiful Tower Club, which is at the top of a nice building. So you get the great, what's the word? Background overview. What is it? View of Dallas. View of downtown Dallas. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. And, speaking of the webinars and stuff, but so does a lot of this also tailor or focus on educating clinicians and providers? And how are you going about that? Because I know a lot of the speakers are physicians, OB-GYNs. Right. Are there going to be events specifically for clinicians too? Or are you incorporating that in this shift?
Yes, so we are definitely targeting and marketing clinicians of all disciplines. So, physicians, PAs, NPs, therapists, anybody who has a stake in women's health to come. And being the inaugural event, we will not be able to provide continuing education credits for this conference or for the webinars. That might be something that we visit in the future, but definitely we want to do that education and try to get as many of those clinicians in there. That is absolutely a part of the shift. So we are about research, clinical care, and education. So yeah, those are our 3 pillars for that. So
yeah, it's really amazing. And just really, I'm just amazed at how you have taken this and co-founded this with other women in this field, and just really kind of taken it to another level.
It's so hard. It's so hard. To get backing for women, it's incredibly difficult. It's so fascinating, but everything that you hear about how women's health doesn't have the money allocated to it, doesn't have the interest, they're pitching their docuseries to Netflixes and Hulus and Apples and things like that. And
Mm-hmm.
it's it's half of the population.
Yeah.
why why
Yeah.
why would you not be interested in or want to support or be a part of this? But yes, I mean,
Right. Yeah.
we are out there trying to get the word
Mm-hmm.
out, canvassing, and just trying to get the information. I went to an event last Saturday, and I did kind of
Mm-hmm.
a women on the street interview where I asked people what they knew about perimenopause, menopause, like just basic reaction, women
Mm-hmm.
and men,
Yeah.
and it's just fascinating. Nobody knows. Nobody knows
Yeah.
anymore, and it's got to stop. So it's a tall task, and we realize that. But quit is not in any of our vocabularies. We have kind of team calls and texts and things like that all the time to just keep our spirits up. But like the monks
Yeah.
are amazing. Like I just can't even
Mm-hmm.
imagine uh,
Yeah. I think it's,
not having them on board to do this, because their
right.
spirit is just undeniable.
Yeah. That's really amazing too. And I think it's like it's interesting how like women's health is kind of on the low on the totem pole, so to speak. And it's a huge mindset shift too. I think we're used to kind of trying to do it all and suffer in silence.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way and the mentality women have been kind of trained in from generation to generation. It's like, no, you're supposed to do that. That's the way it is. That's how it's supposed to be. And we're those people, as you said in the very beginning of this podcast episode, is that we do all these things. We are the mother, we're the wife, we're the worker bee, we're the, everything. And we learn to cope and learn to kind of juggle everything, and just at the expense of our own health at times, or because we're told that, well, you're supposed to be doing this, and, don't focus on yourself, focus on the needs of the other people around you. And so it's kind of hard for us to get that mentality changed, even with our own health, which is kind of sad though, because without a good health, without good strength to endure and go forth, then how do we take care of everyone else in a way too?
Yeah.
And so that's I love that you have called it the shift, because it really is a shift in how we have to think of ourselves in regards to just our basic health, right? Because that's what this whole point is taking control of our health, getting better health, focusing on helping us move through these stages in life more excellently, and kind of with a more positive attitude versus a suffering attitude.
Yes.
Yeah, and so I love that shift. And so I hope that, more people can kind of learn about this and take more interest, and hopefully get more research funded. I know that's always something that really takes a lot of policy change, and hopefully we can see that hopefully soon.
Yes.
But But thank you so much, Amber, for, coming on the podcast, taking your time. I know you're very busy too, and so really appreciate it, and loved connecting with you and meeting with you, and talking about this shift in women's health.
And even if this airs after March 29th, we are going to have the replay available. At this time, we're not live streaming it. So if you're not in Dallas for the actual conference, you won't be able to see it live. But we are going to make at least the replay available after the event. So anybody anywhere can have access to it. And that's on our website. So I can check that out. But yes, thank you, Johanna, so much for having me on today. I love talking about this stuff. I could talk about it all day, which I pretty much do. So thank you so much for helping to amplify my voice. But it's not just my voice. It is every single woman that I talk to about this. They are affected in some way, and a lot of them don't know that their symptoms are part of the perimenopause diagnosis.
Yeah.
So, yes, the more folks that can hear about this, I think the stronger that we will become together.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. And I hope that all the listeners out there will check out The Shift. And I will have links to connect with Dr. Amber Christopher on the episode show notes. So be sure to look for them and check them out. There'll be links to all of the Shift information as well as Build a Better Body and Dr. Amber's own information. And so thank you so much. I pray that you spark hope wherever you are in your communities and in your families, and especially within your own self. We got to spark hope in our own health, in our lives, so that we can be that spark of hope for others. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Joanna.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Medicine Motherhood Missions. We hope you found inspiration, insight, and a sense of connection in the stories we shared today. If you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us reach more listeners like you. Follow us on Instagram for updates, free downloads, and to join a community of like-minded individuals passionate about making a difference through medicine, motherhood, and mission work. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. Until next time, keep sparking hope, keep healing, keep nurturing, and keep making a difference. This is Johanna signing off from Medicine Motherhood Missions. The medical opinions expressed on this podcast are for the informational purposes only and should not be considered as medical advice. Always consult a licensed healthcare provider for personal medical questions or concerns. The views expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of the podcast host.